Hello and good afternoon, good evening, good weekend. I hope you're having a great time. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Rage will be joining us a little later. A little busy, but we do have myself, Deus, and Pseudo, I believe you're here. Oh, I hold on. I see him keying in. I'm not hearing anything. Could be my fault. Still not hearing anything there. Got Pseudo turned up nice and loud. Anyway, howdy Raven. How's your weekend going? I think I saw Rift Kick lurking around in there as well. Should be a fun one for you because we are actually doing some game design and I know how much you love to partake in that. So I look forward to putting some ideas together with you, bumping our heads together. As soon as I figure out how I've muted my Discord. Pseudo is having some audio driver issues, it seems. So, before we really dig into it, and I know Pseudo wants to say a little bit about this, but I wanted to talk about real quick, and there's only a couple of you here, but I would love to chat with you guys about it. Have you really looked at and seen what's happening with the new Warcraft 3, whatever they called it, the remaster remake? Hey, we're remaking our awesome game and everyone's gonna buy it again and give us lots of money because we've made an awesome game a second time. Not precisely. Well, they've done something a little devious, a little underhanded, a little dirty, and ultimately super shitty for the entire community. And yeah, the game itself is trash, and let's forget about the fact that the remake wasn't done right. The remake is buggy, it's not finished, it doesn't run well. All of that aside, they've actually set video games back years and years and years with this horrible decision. And this horrible decision is changing the TOS, the terms of service, on their agreement when it comes to making custom maps. Now, you've played StarCraft, you've played Warcraft before, you've probably played the original Warcraft 3. How much time did you spend in custom maps while playing those games? These amazing mods that exist within these games, made by the community, for the community, that the community just loves. I mean, I played a ton of StarCraft. Tons of StarCraft, and I loved the core game. I played it as hard as I could. I won many matches. I got damn good. But you can't just play StarCraft all day. You can't. It's only one game. So you'd get bored, and you'd load up some custom maps. And there were so many cool custom maps in those games. So many cool custom maps. I even joined some communities and helped to work on them here and there. It was just fun. It's fun to create things like this. Now, I'm sure many of you have played a MOBA, right? You know the whole story of League. Is that Pseudo?
I hope so.
Hey, it's Pseudo. Welcome, Pseudo. Nice to hear your voice.
That was fun.
Yeah, Windows is awesome.
Yeah, I just started turn on the mic and then just got loud popping. Headphones just I had no idea what happened, so figured turning it off and on would be the best bet.
It happens. Let's remove over here so you can get a better look at me while I'm talking to y'all. Okay. Yeah, we were just touching before we dig too much into it on the implications of Blizzard's change to the TOS in Warcraft 3 Reforged. And it, it was brought up that it's shit. And yeah, sure, it's trash. So let's push aside all the flaws and the bugs and all the things that have gone wrong with the development and all that kind of stuff, right? Anybody can beat that stuff to death, but let's really talk about what this TOC TOS change means. And I'm sure Pseudo knows exactly what I'm talking about. Hey, Board, how you doing? Welcome to stream. Nice to have you with us. Before we dig into this, we're spending a little bit of time bitching about Activision. You know, it's one of our favorite things to do. Let's bitch about Activision for a little bit. Yeah, I agree. Good. So we're talking about the terms of service change in Warcraft 3 Reforged and the implications of this. So if you're not familiar, essentially what they've done is they've changed the wording. So if you make a custom map, they own it. You have no rights to it anymore. And will it hold up in court? Maybe, maybe not. But the fact is, you will have to take this giant to court. And this giant is more than happy to take you to court. And they have the pockets to beat you into the dust, whether they're legally right or not. So I'm sure you've all played a MOBA before, right? You guys have played a game of Dota, or at least a couple games of League in your life. Smite, something like that. But are you all, I mean, many are, but are you all really aware that this spawned as a custom map for Warcraft? I remember when it came out. Do you remember when it came out, Pseudo?
I do. I played a lot of Warcraft custom maps back in the day.
Oh, of course you did. They were the best part of the game.
Yeah, that it was.
So what's going to happen now, you know? I have a hard time understanding the logic for Activision here. Like, I understand why their knee-jerk reaction to people making all this money and all these great games on their platform and not getting any. But I think it's a big problem of, you know, rich and powerful corporate leaders not understanding the average mind. Because do they really think people are going to keep making maps that they're going to own and have rights to?
Yeah, like I think they got burned really bad by Dota 2. I feel like it's probably a bit of a sore spot for them. I think there were a few lawsuits back in the day when that started getting bigger and became its own independent thing, because I guess they felt like they owned it because, you know, that's where it kind of came from. When in reality, it was the actual, you know, designers and developers that kind of created that using them as tools.
Yeah.
But they
the biggest argument they really have at that point is, well, you used some of our assets. And then that's really the only leg they had to stand on. At that point.
Like, you can't really, to some extent, like it's just like the actual genre of the game. They just try to keep for themselves, and I guess they just don't want to get burned again if somehow someone takes their really terrible remake and somehow makes another great game in it, which is going to be very unlikely. They've also made it so that you can't use anything that was created for profit previously. So a lot of the original kind of Warcraft mods are not going to be able to be recreated in the new version as well, which kind of sucks. And even the ones that were in the original probably don't want to be recreated in the new one. If they wanted to, for like at any time, create it externally from Warcraft and, you know, make their own version of a standalone, they won't be able to do that once they put it in this new system.
Yeah, exactly. You're basically agreeing, if you make anything for this new Warcraft 3 game, that yeah, it's cool, you guys can have it. I don't mind doing the work. You guys can have it. And I don't see anybody, like, there's still going to be custom maps, because there's a lot of kids and a lot of stupid people that don't really know what they're doing and just want to play around with it and have fun. So those are still going to get made. But is there really going to be anything good being made? The good mods, the good maps, stuff like this. This is made by people that know what they're doing. They're intelligent, they're knowledgeable, and they usually pay attention. They will read that TOS. They will know that all their work is going to be for naught. And they're going to build it in a different game or on its own engine. They're not going to take the time to build it in your game anymore, because it's not worth it. You've alienated them.
You also can't play the original Warcraft 3 anymore with that client, which is kind of a problem for a lot of people who wanted to still play those old ones without having to go through kind of different and illicit means. So it's kind of put a lot of people into a hard.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if... And let's stop calling them Blizzard, okay? We've shit on the Blizzard name enough. We don't need to call them Blizzard anymore. They're not Blizzard. Blizzard is dead. RIP. Let the name rest. They're Activision. They've proven it entirely now. These actions are not Blizzard actions. They are Activision actions. Anyway, I wanted to clear the air on this because it's important that people are aware of these implications. So don't buy the game. That's the best way you can voice your displeasure on this. Do not buy the game. I mean, it's trash anyway, so don't buy it. But don't buy this one on principle. Fuck you, Activision. That being said, you guys want a game? I mean, this is a whole channel of game designers. This is what we're all about. We love designing games. We love making games, playing games. Playing games is critical to designing them because you gotta know what they are before you can make a good one. But I mean, it's ridiculous. Our channel needs a game, right? How can we have a channel of game designers without a game? That's what we're doing today. Starting the groundwork on the game. And I've talked to a couple people recently who, they're saying, hey, I'm trying to make my first game ever. And they've got some great heart and they've got the drive and they clearly love what they're doing and I love to see it. So keep it up. But you definitely use some help organizing your thoughts, and some organized thoughts will go a long way into producing a much better quality end product, something enjoyable, fun, doesn't have to be complex. So I figured let's walk through these steps together. You guys can ask, and because this is the community game and you guys are the ones playing it, let's let you guys help design this game as we work through it. Sound like fun? Yeah? Yeah, I know Pseudo loves designing games. I mean, okay, here's how much we love designing games, all right? The last birthday party I actually got to go to with Pseudo, the whole theme of the birthday was, let's build a game. It's just what he wanted to do. It's my birthday. We're doing what I want. We're building a game. Okay, sorry we didn't get it made, too much booze, Pseudo, but it was fun anyway.
Still working on it.
Now you're still working on that one?
Yep, still working on it.
Awesome. Games take a lot of time sometimes, especially when they're side projects.
Especially when we don't have much time, but chip away at it here and there and get it done.
Yep. So we won't be doing code or anything complicated like that. We won't even be going into like story and story arcs and all the really nitty-gritty complicated stuff. We're going to be looking at the design document and the design theory, and we're going to be working through this process with you guys so that if you ever have a desire to make a game or you have a game idea already floating around in your head, this will at least give you a little bit of a blueprint and a framework to start laying it out, organizing your thoughts, and actually getting a design document put together so that you can work on it with other people. Because you're never going to get the game made by yourself. You need to be able to work with other people, which means you need to be able to organize your thoughts at least enough for somebody else to get the idea. You agree, Pseudo?
Yep.
All right, so the very, very, very first step that we want to start with, before we've gone anywhere, right? We have no ideas right now. All we know is we've got a community and we want to make a game. So we have to set some ground rules, right? So the first thing we need to know are, what are the limitations of this game? And what are the requirements of this game? Sounds simple, it sounds basic, but this is going to be the structure, blueprint, outline, guide, framework for every other decision we make. It needs to be taken into account. You have to keep your limitations in mind. Yes, I can, you see. Font size is not one of my limitations. Can I actually zoom without zooming? Yes, I can. Let's just do this.
The good old CSI enhance.
Yep. Bam. How's that? Is that better for you? Yeah, thank you. Okay. 100, there we go. What are the limitations of this game? All right, so when we're talking about limitations, we're talking about anything that is going to confine your creativity and development. So it could be something like an external entity. Say you have a publisher that you're already working with, and this is a little larger, but they're saying, okay, we're giving you this money, but you need to put this feature in. That feature is going to be a requirement. Sorry, that's not the limitation, that's the requirement, but that feature would be a requirement, right? The designers could also come in with a limitation, right? Say you're working with an IP, and you're working with a Superman game. And the designers come in and go, hey, this game is about Superman, and Superman has a very, very set personality and trait and everything, so he can't kill anybody in your game. And that's the only way you're going to get the IP. So that's a limitation. You're going to have to consider this in the entirety of your design, right? You can't just wait till the end of the game and go, oh, he can't kill people. Let's just, take out the killing. Your whole game's going to fall apart. Got to be taken into account right away. So, the same for requirements. Consoles. If you're building your game for a console, that's going to bring some limitations and requirements. You're going to need to support certain things to support the console. You're also going to need to not be able to support certain things. If you're making an SNES game, you're definitely not going to be able to support VR, as an extreme example.
That'd be interesting, though.
Yeah, I want to see a 2 megabyte VR game. Someone do it. Actually, how big are the Virtual Boy games?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I do know someone who knows who might be in chat.
Yeah, that's why I asked you, is because you actually know somebody who has a Virtual Boy dev kit, which is awesome. Awesome. There's a whole community of people out here. Well, a small community of people out here that write games for the GBA and play it on an actual dev unit. Isn't that awesome? Gotta love it.
I was very surprised to see how many tools that were available for the Virtual Boy development. There's a full engine, full set of actual just design and development tools that kind of blew me away. I was like, oh man, I did not see that anyone would be actually this invested involved in it, but it was cool.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really expected that the Game Boy, the Virtua Boy, would have a development community active within it. But I would love to try some of the games that they've made on the actual dev unit. If you can line that up, that'd be awesome. Hell, we could even feature some of their games if they want. I'll set it up on my desk and play it.
Sure, I'll browse to what's there. There's quite a few of them are actually very interesing. They've kind of pushed the limits of the system a bit.
I'd really love to see what they've come up with. That would be super interesting.
Furthermore, limitations, a real big one, of course, is going to be time, as well as your own skill set and the team's skill set. There's only so much that certain people can do in a certain amount of time, and you have to be aware of that when you start designing the game.
Absolutely. The reason I'm not putting these down and we're talking about them is because this is going to be the design document for the game. That's why I'm not writing it down, if you're all wondering. But we have to talk about what fits on here to help you guys come up with our limitations. So if you guys can think of any limitations or requirements for this game, please throw them out. I want your guys' help. This game is not built by us. This game is built by the channel. Okay? This game is by the channel, for the channel. For you guys to play against each other, built by you. We'll put it together. We're going to help you design it. Sound fun? All right, so the limitation of this game, straight up, right away, this is a game in a bot. So we have a major limitation instantly that it must be interacted with by text. All check, man. So instantly we've got a fairly big limitation there. Requirements. Multiplayer. We need to be able to support multiple players because for all of you guys to play with each other, / against each other, / beat each other up on the stream. So we need a way to interact with the stream video. I will put the dev skills on there, pseudo, since we really should keep in mind what we're all capable of here. So we should be able to pull off anything we need on a bot. I'm pretty confident.
In theory, but you never know what these crazy viewers can come.
Well, you see, we can do a lot of really fun stuff on the interact with the stream video. All the bot needs to do is create an HTML animated page, which I can then intercept and inject into OBS. And we've already got the API in existence to interact with bits and fun stuff like that. So there's totally already a framework in place to allow a payment system that will pop up something on the actual stream from the game. I'm really looking forward to playing with that idea.
It'll be a really good time. I don't think I've really seen anything kind of like.
Yeah, I don't think I really have either. Yeah, pay a few bits to challenge someone to a duel, something like that. Throw the characters up on the screen. Right at the bottom, they can fight each other. Everyone in the chat can actually watch as two people in the chat duke it out on the screen. I like PvP. Actually, not. I'm a PvE guy, but PvP is fun.
I mean, raid boss could also be a thing that gets in there. Multiple chat people against it.
Yeah, we could totally have a PvE side to it too, where the raid boss pops up on screen and all the chat has to take part in taking down the raid boss. Totally have rewards or something like that. Yeah, I mean, guys could take note because these are ideas you guys could be throwing back at us when we get a little farther into this. Other than it being interacted with by text and these other requirements, this is fairly sparse. Can anybody honestly think of anything that we require in this bot or anything that we will be limited by due to making a game on a Twitch bot? We have to consider our platform here. Very limited graphics capabilities. We need to not spam chat. We can't have the bot just diarrheaing information all over the chat as people are trying to talk. It won't be hard to deal with, but it's still something we need to keep in mind.
I think need to not spam chat might be more of a requirement than the limitation. I guess
yeah, that's totally a requirement. Sorry, I meant to put it there. I'm extremely tired today.
I get it.
But I'm never too tired to talk about games.
Okay.
All right, aside from requirements and limitations, we need to figure out what is the goal of the game. And I really need your guys' help here. This is super important, because you guys are the ones that are going to be playing it. And I look forward to going back and doing design iteration cycles and changing this. And as the community grows, we're going to include more opinions, more viewpoints, get more ideas flowing, continue to work on this. You guys get the honor of getting to help design version 1, the very first. What everything will be built on. So what's the goal of our game? Does anybody have any ideas, opinions, concepts? I don't necessarily want you to throw me an idea if you've been sitting on it forever, but you're sitting in chat, you're watching me play. You're making fun of the other people in chat, probably. You're making fun of me. How do you want to play this game? Do we want the game to be mainly for active people? Do you need to be active to play it? Do lurkers want to play the game? Do we want to include the lurkers? I mean, I know my personal opinion. I love the lurkers. Lurkers are a prominent part of a community. Just because you're not talking doesn't mean you're not important. I remember you and I respect you guys. Thank you for lurking. So I do want lurkers to be able to play. Let's put that in a requirement. Lurkers able to play the game.
I know it's kind of obvious, but we should probably write it down in requirements that this game should be rewarding to the viewers and the participants of the stream.
Provide a form of reward to players/participants. I wonder if we can tie it into channel points. We'll have to look at the channel point API. The limitations of this game will be also based on Twitch's API. Going to be a very determining factor on what we can and cannot do. Because that's how we interface with Twitch. You guys are wondering what an API is, for the less technical savvy. That's the way that we talk through the program to Twitch. Make the bot ask Twitch to do things for us. So if we can't ask Twitch to do it, then we just can't make Twitch do it, so we can't have the bot do it, so it's going to be what it is. Very limiting. But it is a fairly robust API. We do have some cool options, and the ability to intercept stuff with OBS is going to give us some fun tools as well. So, examples. Stop that. Thank you. Players must defeat other players. Players must defeat a objective together. Two very, very, very simple goals of the game. Both of them are open-ended, what we need. We do need, so the requirements, game must be open-ended / have no ending, and not story-driven. Actually, no. We could put story in it. There's nothing that says you can't progress through a story. But it does have to have an open-ended ending to allow for infinite play.
Or some sort of loop that allows for replayability.
Yeah, well, we want people to be able to work together, so I'm thinking it's going to have to be almost MMO-ish. So really, the first place my mind has been going to this whole time is MUDs.
Yeah.
And I think we could make it MUD-ish.
It doesn't have to be some sort of interactive text. It just kind of depends on if it's something that's going to be like language parsing on our side, such as like we try to figure out what we want them to do, or if we provide them choices and then they pick from those choices by saying.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm personally a bigger fan of having pre-established choices that you can choose from rather than having to type tag, say this, that, just because of typos and stuff like that. Though, you know, typos could be part of the game. That could be part of the skill component. Your accuracy and speed of typing is a chat room, after all. Keyboard warrior.
It's true, but there's also might be some limitations to the player on that. It might be depending on your advantage for people like us that type all day for a living, being able to type a lot faster.
Yep.
Maybe some.
Then there's also the opposite end with people that have missing fingers, disabilities that don't allow them to type so quick. And do you want to isolate them? Do you want to exclude them from the group of players? And no, we don't want to. We want to. Our target audience for this is you guys, all of you. I don't want to exclude anyone, so that's why maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a little display of this will do this, this will do this, this will do this. Might be better.
And and then maybe some fill in the blank parts here and there, so they have some sort of interactability that they could. I feel like the effect.
Yeah. Maybe on a non-timed basis on those ones.
Yeah. Just to show the chat, as we're going through the design process, you'll see that there's a lot of times that ideas get brought up and they're not necessarily always bad. And especially when you're working with a team, someone can always bring up a counterpoint. And a big part of designing the team is to be able to see the bigger picture of the idea and be like, yeah, like that's a point that's brought up. Yeah, that's good. We could move forward in this direction. You'll see this happen a lot. You'll see us jump back to limitations, requirements many, many times as we go down, because it's impossible to know them all at the start, but it's best to start addressing them right away.
Yeah. Get those immediate limitations and requirements figured out right away, because like I said, that's going to guide the rest of your decisions. You're going to realize stuff you've missed. Your requirements evolve. This is why we do all of this before we start laying code. Otherwise, we get what we call scope creep. Any project manager's worst nightmare. They wake up in cold sweats looking at scope creeping towards them. It's terrible. Worst thing for a project. Now, scope creep, just to clarify this, the scope is what your project encompasses. So in the IT world, the scope will be, this is what we're setting out to do. Scope creep is once you've started building it, somebody comes in and goes, Let's make it talk to this kind of system as well. And now you've got to build a whole new piece and a whole new interface. All of a sudden, you're doing double the work that you first expected, and your realistic timeline for the project hasn't changed. It's stressful, it's error prone, it's expensive, and it's the number one way to sink a project.
It's also inevitable. It always happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's inevitable, but you want to do as much as you can to avoid it. Right? Basically, just because it's inevitable, you don't sit back and go, oh, well, the scope's going to creep. You do everything you can. You do everything you can. It's like an earthquake that you know is going to come, right? Just because you know it's going to come doesn't mean you don't do everything you can to mitigate its effects. You don't just stand, underneath a giant glass chandelier going, oh, well, it's an earthquake. You at least get the fuck out of the way. Yeah?
Hopefully. They'd come out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, we've gotten pretty good actually at predicting them. We can see them coming like 60 seconds before they happen now.
Hopefully, I mean, here we're pretty we're due for the big one, right? To the point where a lot of the Strata's insurance rates have skyrocketed.
We're due for the big one from 10 years ago till 90 years from now. So sometime in there.
Yeah, it's big in my scope. So
yeah.
I'm gonna make sure giant chandeliers anytime soon.
Yeah. I'm definitely not looking forward to like installing a chandelier over my bed or anything. Not what I'm looking to do in the immediate. Yeah, our goals. Well, let's say not an example, but an actual goal of the game is for the character to progress strength, power.
This will give the players some sort of invested interest in continuing to play the game, rather than just kind of playing it for like a little bit and then never touching it again. If their effort into it is sustained and kind of works towards something, they'll have more of an incentive to kind of keep going.
I agree. And that's why in the requirements we have provide a form of reward to the players and participants.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be just like a monetary thing. They don't have to actually like.
Yeah, for sure.
Have like some sort of hard boss that will reward a player with like a sub or something if they beat it, but it doesn't always have to be a direct reward. It could also just be the ability to look at your character that you've created from your effort over the last couple of months and something to be proud of, something to show.
Yeah. Or, we could, hey, here's an idea. Keep a listing of who's beaten what boss and what date they beat it. This way you always know who was the first one to beat each boss.
And then on top of that as well, something that can be done for the actual stream is to kind of keep a little bit of text somewhere for who's kind of defeated the strongest thing, or kind of like the recent history of events, or maybe if we wanted to implement some sort of King of the Hill kind of PvP system, we could have the current King of the Hill display.
Like that. At the end of each session, when we roll our credits, it'll say who made what, broke this record, beat the boss for the first time, stuff like that. Yeah. I think we're definitely leaning. Let's put a little bit more onto here. That's the goals. Players interface will do, but we do need eventually to get to what genre will the game be. And I'm going to straight out say, unless anybody else really wants it to be different, you guys are coming up and saying, hey, let's try to change it to this. I think the best way to move forward at the beginning, and just my personal taste, is going to be an RPG. It's a text-based game. RPG is the way to go. Don't worry, we'll let you fight each other. I promise. You can blow up each other.
We also don't have to be completely restricted to what is part of the genre, but at least we have some sort of kind of guiding principle of idea of what mechanics we want to see.
Exactly. I mean, basically, like we did before with our genre episode, All this RPG means is we're going to have player stats and players are going to be able to advance. That basically defines an RPG. I like the idea of a mud type game. I'm going to put that in there as well. That goes with genre. It's one of the tags. Mud is a type of RPG. I don't even call it a tag of RPG. There's so many of them. But let's include that as a bit of context there for it, shall we? So Raven, bored. I think Rift is here. I think I saw him. Come on. You guys are being so quiet. Got no ideas? No idea. What do you call a deer with no eyes, Pseudo?
No idea.
No idea. What do you call a deer with no eyes and no legs?
I have no idea.
Still no idea. See, the joke was so bad it didn't even make him laugh.
It's hard for me to push the talk button when I laugh. I forget it's there.
All
What
right.
happened to
So
can you read the text?
Sorry?
I said I'm waiting for on board. Hopefully you can read the text now. I want to see his ideas. I want some of the chat ideas to come in here.
Yeah, I'm really super excited to see some of the people in chat throw some ideas out. I'm just going to keep on writing some down, some core information here. So one of the things that, and this is something that gets overlooked by a lot of people when they first sit down and start trying to come up and design a game. And then, you know, I'll come in and I'll start trying to help them organize their thoughts. And I'll ask some of these really basic early questions and they'll just go, I never thought of that. I don't know. And one of them is, how will the player interface with the game? Now for us, this one's easy. We've addressed it early on. But for a lot of people, you know, they thought, oh, I never thought, do I want to use keyboard, mouse, roller, keyboard and mouse? Now we have text only, which is what we're going to have. There's neural interfaces nowadays. VR interfaces nowadays. There's so many ways to interface with these games that you really need to think about, how do I want to let them interface with it? And even from the text only interface, as we were talking about, this is a good place to include the question that Pseudo asked. Typed actions or multiple choice action? That's part of the interface. How do you guys want? So what do you guys think? Would you rather have, say, you know, you're in there and you go like that? Like that? Or, you know, act 1 for action 1, or even just game 1. Send it in, you know, exclamation game could be anything. Then basically what's going to happen is our bot's going to sit in the chat and look for these commands, and it's going to look at the name of the person who gave it the command, and then it's going to make your character do whatever you told it to do. So it's very different. With the attack, you can have very, very diverse number. You know, we can even do hidden commands. Like, you know, maybe we never told you that this could do it, and somebody types it one day and they actually blast someone out of the sky. They're like, oh my god, I can do that! Whereas if you actually had more of the, you know, A, B, C, D, there would be no way to hide it. You would know all of your options right away, but it's going to be much, much easier to select your option. Hey, Pookie Celeste, welcome to stream. Throw us your ideas too. This is valid input from everyone. I think that's really the only things we need to note on our interface of choice. An interface isn't something that takes a lot of thought. It's just something that you need to be aware of ahead of time, because it is going to affect most of your design decisions. You know, the difference between a VR room scale and a controller is pretty huge. And if you've started designing your game for one, and you decide you want to change your interface type, you've basically got to go back and review everything. I hate redoing. Hate it. Hate it. So much. I hate it when people tell me to redo things. That was actually the worst story. The worst story I've ever heard from an office place, real quick. My poor mother, working in a place where they didn't want her to use the internet for some weird, like, worried their employees were going to go on the internet and goof off. He wanted her to make changes to an email. So he printed out the email, handed it to her, and asked her to retype it with the changes he wanted. I would have told him where he can stick that email. Real quick. You're only half paying attention. Playing a game? Is that what's going on here? Huh? Which play? Oh, watching the Leafs Habs. Fair enough. That's an exciting game, but we're designing the game you're going to be playing in the future. Huh? Yeah. Doesn't that sound better? Yeah, you're both watching hockey? Totally fair. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you hanging out with us anyway. So I'm thinking, and I'm coming up with more ideas here on the goal of the game. So, as an RPG, it doesn't even have to fully be RPG. We could do a little 4X idea as well. Text-based sort of 4X, where almost like, the war mobile games, where you have a base, city, you build an army, you send them out to attack people. Because it's very easy to control that through a text interface as well, right, Pseudo? And we can just do build this, send that, or even interface options, and then it's very, very slow. So there's not a lot of requirement of skill or typing speed, and a lot of the skill is going to come out more in the strategic side on when to attack, what to attack with, how to attack, who to attack. What do you think?
Yeah, it's possible. The only thing I guess I'm get interesting is since one of the other kind of limitations or kind of restrictions we're going to have is that the text will be public. So if we go the strategy sense, everyone's going to know what everyone's doing and what's kind of going on.
You can you can have the bot respond in a PM.
Yeah, but I guess can they just directly PM the bot through Twitch chat? Because then that also kind of brings away the kind of interactability from the chat as well. If most of it's going to be played through the PMs. I'm just saying, like, it's just something that's out there to be aware of.
It's a fair point, but I mean, we can have them just PM the bot commands and then have resultants printed into chat. So he organizes what he's doing and sends it off in the PM, and then in the chat it comes up with, so-and-so has attacked so-and-so, and maybe they paid the bits for the attack, and it pops the cities up on the bottom corners, one down here, there's one over here in the other corner of the game, and then, maybe some things come across the bottom of the screen and outplay this little fight that they've paid to demonstrate so everybody can watch who wins. Otherwise, it would just come up with a text saying so-and-so attacked this, here's the results.
Yeah, and then DMing the bot would maybe cut down on some of the chat spam, but it depends if we also want kind of reward them with chat points for typing into chat correctly. So it's just, like I said, something to keep a kind of an eye out. Bonus side, like pros and cons of it. Pro, it doesn't spam the chat.
Yeah.
Con is like a further kind of reward system that's been removed now because they're not going to be earning chat points while playing the game.
Mm-hmm. We could also do it something like, on the 4X side, or even on the RPG side. I kind of like the idea of having separate commands in Whisper and text. So if I'm trying to propose an alliance with you, it's through the chat. Everybody looks and sees that we're meeting together, and there's a proposed alliance, so that everybody knows, and then the chat can pop up, hey, an alliance has been formed. And this is all grand scheme brainstorming, obviously, right? And then, say on like a spying side would be used for the PM, so you can send whatever, and if it happens and your spying is successful, the chat command that pops up to inform people might be, this happened here, and not say who did it. And if the person, maybe gets a little bit more information than the average rest of the community, he might get, who did it. Or one of my favorite spying aspects of Master of Orion 2 was if you got away with it really, really, really well, it would tell the person the wrong information and say another player did it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, that can cause some chaos. Start thinking someone else is screwing with you. Maybe even let them choose who they want to frame, kind of idea. There's a lot of politics behind that. It's not simple to write, but it's not super complicated. It's all on the logic side. Am I getting anybody else's brain juices flowing? Because I think these are some decent ideas. Pseudo, this document is available for you as well if you want to come in and write down your own ideas when you have them.
Probably a good idea.
Are we gonna just end up making this game for you guys? Come on now. And we're not finishing today, so don't worry. This will be an ongoing thing. It's going to take at least a few sessions just to flesh out the ideas that we have and get your guys' input on the ideas. Clearly, it's going to take some arm twisting, but we will get your opinions, whether you like it or not.
And we can always just write down a bunch of kind of design ideas or notes and still have them decide on at a later date. This doesn't really necessarily have to be set in stone. This is kind of more just the brainstorming session, I think.
Yeah, this is very brainstorming. Okay, Pookie, so you know what a bot is, correct? We. Yeah, I'm gonna guess that's a yes. Oh, we. Yes, that's the correct we. Okay, so we have a bot, and his name is RageBot Ltd, and he is a very hard-working bot, and everyone enjoys his company. However, because we're a channel about games, and game design, and game analysis, and game theory, we want to have our own game. So we are building our own game into RageBot. And we are letting the whole community that's going to play this game with us take part in the design, so you guys get to help design your own game. Whatever you think is fun this way, what we can start incorporating into the game, and you can try out your own ideas. And you know what? Some of the ideas that we take from you and put into the game, you might end up just saying, wow, that was a bad idea. We should not do that again. Not every idea you have is going to be a good one. Guarantee it. It's like jokes, I'm a pretty funny guy. I've been told I'm a pretty funny guy, but my jokes hit maybe 1 out of 5. That one that hits, you'll bust a gut, but the other 4, you're just gonna be like, what the fuck are you on, man? That wasn't funny. You like the idea? I'm glad you like the idea. I hope we have fun with it. So your guys' input on the RPG versus 4X is definitely something that we want to know. The genre is going to be a big deal. Would you rather be building a town, a base, a city, a structure, managing an army and attacking people with your army? Or would you rather be a single person, gaining gear, gaining stats, building your skills, and fighting other players, and or getting together with other players and fighting bosses?
Or getting together with other players and fighting other players.
Yeah, we could totally have team PvP as well. Yeah, I like team PvP. We'll need to have probably an automated system of controlling. Like, we can't wait for text commands. Single unit with PvP. Okay, that's a vote for the RPG with the gear and stuff like that. Okay. So then you'll be able to, get together and fight and monsters together, get new gear, and then turn around and fight players for, team PvP. Get together with players, fun stuff like that. Maybe, yeah, I'm getting lots of fun ideas already. I like some hardcore PvP elements. I don't know how hardcore you guys like or want. With aliens. All right. Alien RPG. With aliens. Get you guys' information down. We are recording this. We are remembering your preferences. You want to hear. And like I said, my ideas are not the end all be all. I may have been doing this for, I don't want to say how many years I've been coming up with game ideas and making these documents, but it's longer than you want to know. So I may be kind of good at it, but that doesn't mean I'm the best, and that doesn't mean my ideas are what should go. So definitely tell me I'm an idiot if you think I am, and if you have an idea that differs from mine, don't be afraid to throw it out there. Maybe it's not the best idea, but it's just something bouncing around in your head that you haven't flushed out with. That's great. Throw it out there. It might not be your idea that it ends up as, but that triggers somebody else's thought. Somebody else goes, oh, hey, I didn't think of this. And they get, a new idea based on what you said, and that gets bounced around a little bit more, and we end up sanding down this idea until we come out with something that is different than any of us started with, but is better than any of us could have ever come up with by ourselves. That's why we do this as a team. That's why game design isn't done by one person. No one person can design the perfect game. You have one person lead because you need to get it done someday, but it's still a community and still a team that does the design. You need to rubber ducky. Rubber duckying is talking out your issue, for those that don't know. Common programming term.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be an actual rubber duck, but it's mostly just actually articulating your ideas and speaking them out so you can catch kind of flaws that might have been in them, or kind of even just get your kind of creative juices flowing and expanding on your ideas for
the actual science behind it, and there is really cool actual science behind it. Ideas will come easier to me if I know in what universe it takes place. What universe do you want it to take place? So let's throw it together. Game setting. See? This is why you start with a basic design document and get all the nitty-gritty details so that you can start understanding what and where this game is. And once we get the basics put down, so Pookie likes an Animal Kingdom world with aliens. Okay. We got your Animal Kingdom world aliens there, Pookie. An RPG vote. What do you think, Pookie? RPG, 4X, or another genre? What do you think works best for pure text, typing to a bot, data being stored in the background, and every once in a while, something gets popped up on screen and we get to see what's going on? You like RPG as well. Raven and Pookie Celeste. Vote for RPGs. There you go. You don't know 4X. 4X is explore, expand, exploit, exterminate. That's those big grand strategy games I'm always playing that you're like, oh, that's so complicated. That's probably why nobody's voting for the 4X. Nobody likes the big grand complicated games like I do.
Yeah, they do take a bit of effort.
They definitely take some attention. But, you don't have to make them that grand and complicated.
But it happens.
Yeah, it does. Okay. H.P. Lovecraft. That is the occult, and you know the other term I'm going to use here, Pookie? I'm about to put myself through pain in reinstalling Ravensword Shadowlands. Oh god, what am I doing? Well, Bloodborne is a great example of it, but that's not the word I was going to use. Bloodborne does use the word. He wrote about the occult and the eldritch. And I should spell occult properly. Sorry, occult. You have 2 C's. An Animal World H.P. Lovecraft game. Visual interface. What about the visual interface? There is no visual interface. You cannot have a visual interface. You can have a visual feedback, but that's not an interface. They're very different. And a visual interface would be a HUD or something that you can see the data and maybe even click the data on in order to create an effect. This is going to be much more type a chat command, data happens in the back, shows up on the screen. It's a little more simple than a console game because we're putting it into just a chat bot. And so you're familiar with the mud type game? I don't know if Raven is familiar with muds. You know what a mud is? I know Pookie does not know what a mud is, though. What shows up on the screen? Whatever we want. That's kind of the beauty of it. As long as we can write an HTML page with the graphics we want, I can import that into OBS and put it on the screen. And that's not a big deal. You can totally set up pretty much any graphics we want in the limitation of the fact that none of us are artists. So once we get some good artists in the channel, or if there's any artists lurking that would love to help on this, nanu, Mr. Low. Yeah, we'd love for you guys to get to take part in this, but you're an artist. Well, literally anything you can draw or construct, we can put on screen. That's not a problem. If you can imagine it and design it, we can throw it on the screen. If you can animate it, we can make them fight each other. Yeah, that's totally within our possibility. On the code side, we're not that limited. Pretty good development team that we have here. Time is our only restriction, really. So one of the things I was thinking on the RPG side is if I can create a sprite sheet, or if you can create sprite sheets for characters, we could allow a certain level of character design, customization, and then actually have your characters get on the screen and do a little JRPG style swing swords, damage pops up, and see who lives. Have a health bar that counts down so you can watch as each other's health go down. Things like that. Totally doable. The mud that we were talking about earlier it was basically RPGs, more specifically MMORPGs, before MMORPGs were a thing. So it was a chat room with no graphics, but it had the game logic in the background. And you can type your commands and perform actions. You could polymorph people as a wizard, attack people as a warrior, use your axe, cast fireballs, kill people. There were stats, there was areas that you could go to and move, travel around the land. And essentially what it was is if you go to another area, like you go to a tavern in another town, it's its own chat room. So everyone in the tavern can talk to each other. That's what a mud was. Now, we would have a hard time creating areas that you can only interact with people when you're in that area because you're all in a standard chat room and we cannot spawn other chats. But it would be possible for us to allow more of a character interaction with each other where you can send messages as your character, say you perform actions, actually reduce and buff each other's hit points, stats, fight in teams, cool stuff like that. You mind if I pop this up here?
That's some really cool stuff.
Yeah, we've got some talented people with us, don't we? Oh, right. I remember the one you showed me before now. I love this one. That's great. I love the concept. You can see the the pieces of the flesh being just stripped apart as the skull is revealed underneath it. Awesome. Awesome. Yes. We can absolutely incorporate that types of art. Absolutely. Totally in the realm of possibility. And you know what? I think that art falls real in line with this right here. Pookie's an artist too. She won't admit it, but she is. Those oil on canvas, acrylic on canvas down below, like the Chrono Trigger scene and everything. That was her. I'm buying a drawing monitor soon, so I will be able to do way more. Awesome. Awesome. I'm stoked. Stoked, buddy. Look forward to it. I hope you're excited to get to put your art into it. So, the game settings sounding interesting. H.P. Lovecraft is occult, eldritch, but H.P. Lovecraft is also cosmic. Cosmic is a huge theme in him. Yeah, absolutely. There's no rush. This game is not going to get built quickly. It's going to be a lot of coding. It's going to be a lot of work by us. It's not going to be a quick thing. It's not like we're going to do this session and have it ready in a month or something like that. We're going to have probably at least 10 of these design and build sessions, I'd say, at least. That's not including all the time that we're going to have to spend outside of this laying boring code that nobody really wants to see. Unless everybody's like, I really want to watch you guys code it, then maybe we'll all get together and write code together on. We need some emotes from Raven. Yeah, I'm down. As soon as we have more emote slots. I'm really happy with the ones I just got. I love them. I can't wait. Just to show them off. Just to show them off. Here you go. This is what's coming. Our 3 new emotes. I'm so happy. I love how they came out. They're so cute. I just love them. I can't wait. They're just pending right now. Be about 4 or 5 more days. You love the disagree? Excellent. Yeah, I love the disagree. I love the high, and I love the Dabadoo. She knocked it out of the park. The artist is just absolutely phenomenal. I love her work. Her name is Nellopolis. She's on Fiverr. Easy to find, easy to work with, creative individual. I mean, I gave her a couple pictures of real animals that I used to own, and gave her like a rough idea on the Dabadoo. Not a pot smoker or anything like that. She was super lost and then ended up coming back with that, and I was like, yeah, let's do this. Yeah. So there's my endorsement for Nellopolis on Fiverr. I'm going to continue to use her as well. Her turnaround time was like 5 days from when I gave her the money to when I got the final on all 3 of them. That's with a revision. With a revision. All right. So on the animal setting, yeah, I was saying there's also cosmic as an aspect, and it's horror. Horror is a big part of H.P. Lovecraft's work. It's usually great, big, powerful cosmic entities that exist in another dimension, or sometimes my favorite ones, as a living other dimension, whose mind is so strong that it can push its will into our own dimension and drive people insane. Unfortunately, he was always on LSD when he wrote about this, so he didn't express his work very well, but it was super creative. Actually, I got you a book of his, didn't I? Pseudo.
You did. You got me his Tales of Horror. Quite a bit of them.
Excellent.
I've read them a while ago, so I've always been a big fan of them. But yeah, it's kind of amazing what he can come up with the kind of things that were floating around in that.
Yes, it's amazing how creative LSD makes. You come up with ideas that nobody else ever would. Not an endorsement for the drug, but it is. So I just based on what people have been saying, I'm gonna take the 4X idea off of there for now. It seems like most people have been pushing JRPG slash
It's a
RPG.
bit more personal when you just have your single character. Kind of go quite a long way with that.
Yeah, I know people can get attached to it and provide some customization for it, like that. Sound clips for your character, stuff like that. Maybe an entrance sound effect or something like that, almost WWE, WWF style as it goes onto the screen. There's so many little touches you can add that just make even though it's just a little pixel character, you make it feel like it's yours. Make it different from other people's. You let them make those choices, and it lets you bond that character a little easier, better, a little more. Animals. Also, Earthbound type world. Earthbound is very H.P. Lovecraft as well, I would say. It's the Gigas and the whole prayer mechanic at the. Yeah, we'll include that. Earthbound feel slash world. What's your favorite part about the Earthbound feel and world? Yeah, the cute but humorous. Cute and humorous. That's what I was figuring. It's the Earthbound humor is what everyone loves. Like the mighty car painter and happyism. I love. If you guys haven't played Earthbound, also known as Mother 2 in Japan, absolutely play that game. Absolutely play that game. You can get it on emulator because the actual game is brutally expensive now. But if you have the original cartridge, play that. Mine got stolen. Sad face.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. I'd love to find that person. You're stuck on the final boss. Do you know how to beat him? There's a trick to it. You don't fight him, by the way. Yeah, final boss breaks everyone until you figure out how to beat him. There's a special trick. If you want the special trick, ask Pookie. She's beaten him before. If you want to beat him yourself, keep working on it. It's a spiritual game. That's a hint. Have you ever finished that one, Pseudo?
Not yet. I just have it on my phone on emulator, playing it here and there.
Awesome.
But it takes time. It does take some time.
It does. I know you loved Pookie's painting of Nessie.
Still have it in my room.
That was a good one. It was so cute. All right, so we got an Earthbound feel to the world. I think we've really narrowed it down to being an RPG. So, with one of the key things, okay, before we go too far, let's hash this out. We really need to know what the goal of this game is, right? We've got some cool setting ideas, the fun stuff. We need classes, okay. Include classes. I like. And Animal Kingdom world with aliens. Animals could represent different classes. So you're not a fighter, you're a wolf. You're not a tank, you're a bear. An idea, you know. Maybe the carry is some strange alien. Who knows? We'll come up with something. But I do like, goal is to be silly, mess around, make friends. So the goal within the game, though, you know, is the mechanic going to be how many friends you've made, and that's how you win? I dig the idea, but I don't know how many people are going to work with it. So in the goals, do have character to progress in power, obviously, core to RPGs. We want PvP battles, and we want PvE battles.
I think alliances can be something that kind of emulates the friend aspect.
Yeah, definitely. The goal of the game, sure. Create alliances. Let's reword these. Win PvP battles for glory. Win PvE battles for items. Glory / experience. Glams, honestly, I do want something like Glams. I really do. I really want a basic pixel art system so that you can change your shirt, change your pants, have a different little sprite for a couple different weapons. I mean, we're not going to be like 5,000 weapons. You know, at the start, we're going to be talking like 5 weapons. You know, this is not going to be huge. As it grows, it will grow and grow and grow, and we will expand. You know, when it's time to expand this, the next time we do an expansion session, we may be saying, what new abilities and items do we need? Stuff like that. I already have a fancy feather duster, so yes, sharpest feather duster in the land. For those of you that aren't aware of that joke, that is a Monster Hunter reference because my character wields a feather duster and I constantly need to keep it sharp. Pseudo has no comment.
That is just wild. Just the opponent so well.
ERA? World? What era? So, yeah, what era do you want? You know, that's part of setting. Fantasy? Sci-fi? Medieval? Modern? Cyberpunk? Steampunk? Hey, Val. Oh, yeah, baby. Sharpening the hilt of that blunt bludgeoning weapon. Yeah, you know it. Gotta have a sharp hammer. Can't leave home without a sharp hammer.
Cuts to the air so nice.
Yeah. And welcome, Val. Welcome to stream. Throw your ideas out. Help us come up with the game. We will be actually implementing this. This will be a playable game. Please help us make it. Please make it part of your own. I want you to enjoy it when we're done. So, game setting. This is a fairly big decision, and this one might not ever change. No, it's pretty core. Kind of a game redesign to change this one. Well, it already sounds better than Fallout 76. Well, I mean, you know, set the bar a little higher for me, please. I can fall over that bar.
Just so I could like stub my toe in the morning and be like, oh man, still better than 76.
Exactly. We need some bar. You know, make us try. If I ever released a game of Fallout 76 quality, I would kill myself. Bethesda, you should kill yourself. I made one person laugh at least. Get some light so you can actually see me. I just realized my sun's going down. I'm not supplementing with unnatural light. There we go. You can see me again. Yay! Okay, back to gaming. So, really, what do you guys like for setting? Because this does change a lot of the art, and you know, it's up in the air until the art's done. So maybe I'll leave these settings here, but this is something to consider. Fantasy, sci-fi, medieval, modern, cyberpunk, steampunk. These are all very, very different settings, very, very different worlds, very, very different ideas. They can all be implemented into the structure that we're in. Fantasy is flexible, like not so restrictive. I mean, it's still pretty restrictive. No more or less restrictive than sci-fi is, right? You can do just about anything in sci-fi as well. Same with, cyberpunk, steampunk are more specific, but fantasy, you've got your tropes. You as soon as you say fantasy, you're expecting to see elves, you're expecting to see dwarves, you're expecting to see gnomes, you're gonna have mages, you're gonna have wizards, you're gonna have warriors. There's a lot of stuff that's already very solidified as soon as you step into that fantasy category.
We don't also have to fully subscribe to a trope or a setting. We
Correct.
can just kind of
You can take pieces.
Go from there, piece by piece from everything. We don't have to kind of restrict ourselves just from that.
Yeah, and we're not going to be just saying, choose one, that's what everything becomes. That's not how you design something fun and cool. But you do need to work from your stereotypes. Everything starts as a stereotype, because when we create a stereotype, we create something that the general public as a whole, in large, already understands, right? Now, like we're writing a character for a story, and of course he's going to be his own unique, dynamic, individual person. But when you're first writing him, you start from a stereotype. Because if you just start writing willy-nilly and throwing random ideas out there, one, the person's not going to make a lot of sense. People don't usually actually end up like that way. And people aren't going to be able to relate to them. That's why we use stereotypes in our writing so much. It's very important. Very important. You use the biker stereotype as you start writing the guy. Does the guy have to be the stereotypical biker? No, but maybe we make him talk and sound and act like that, and he comes off as the typical biker at the beginning, and instantly, 5 seconds onto the screen, you have a general idea of what he should act like, what his personality should be, and you're not set in stone as the viewer, but at least you've got a starting point. And then his personality can evolve and come out from there. But when you start with the stereotype, help the person understand the story. Very, very key. And if you name any figure in a story, I can tell you what stereotype, for the most part, they fall into. I've done a fair bit of stereotype research because it's super important. For example, Superman is an Ubermensch. One of the hardest characters to write a story for, unfortunately, and that's why Superman stories always suck. Because the Ubermensch is so strong that there's no challenge for them. So it becomes exceedingly difficult to write a story that is engaging and challenging for that individual. Make sense? Whereas Batman falls under the anti-hero favorite. I heard you key in there, Kazuto.
One Punch Man did a really good job of that. If you haven't seen it, you should really watch it. It's fantastic. But having someone who's literally one punches everything, but still have some sort of conflict and risk and reward is great. They've done a really good job on it. It's fantastic. It's still just hope.
I've fully meant to watch it so many times. I've never actually gotten around to doing it yet, but absolutely on my list because I'm super, super curious from a story writer side. I love writing stories. I write stories for characters, stuff like that all the time. It's one of my go-tos when I'm designing a game. I like to write some stories. I'm really curious as to how they handle the Ubermensch stereotype. Because, you watch a Superman comic or cartoon or whatever, and the story is 99.9% of the time, someone gets in trouble, Superman flies in, punches whatever it is into the sun, saves the people, and the story's done. That's Superman. Either that or villain does some mega super fantastic thing that seems impossible, and then Superman reverses it.
Or he time travels and just never does it again.
Yeah, he reverses it. Whatever it is. That in that one instance that you're thinking of, I know the one you're thinking of, what was happening was so drastic that the only way to undo it was just to reverse time. So he reversed time by flying around the world backwards. Fast.
Super, but not fast enough to save Lois and stop a missile.
Yeah. The Ubermenches are hard to write for. And then you have, like I said, the anti-hero. which is a reluctant hero. It's not a hero. It's a character that you do not expect to become a hero, but becomes a hero out of circumstance. Another excellent example of an anti-hero is Wolverine. Didn't really want to fight with them usually, but he ends up getting sucked into it and helping them out. And he doesn't really act like a hero. He's usually more gruff, more coarse, closer to a villain than a hero, but still plays the hero role. I love those characters. They're just more interesting. They're more human because they have flaws, they have weaknesses, they have darkness within them, and all people have darkness within them. It doesn't come out very often. Most people don't show it, but there's a little bit in there, I guarantee you. Even me. I'll write down something there to help you remember. Stereotypes, super, super huge. Yeah. I mean, none of this is limited. This is all open. How about rewards? Something a little more interesting for you. Won't go under. Let's put it under the random ideas. Just random ideas now. Open brainstorming. And open brainstorming is a big part of this process as well. Any idea that you guys have that you think might be fun to include in this game, or you want us to even just discuss right now as a potential game idea, throw some ideas out there. Give us something to throw down here. Because while we're making it, you're designing it with us, and I want your input. How about you, Pseudo? You as well. Random ideas. Throw them.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one part for the viewers themselves, because how they want to be rewarded while playing this game. What kind of incentives do they want?
Yeah, how that's a great one. Thank you. Let's focus on this for them. How do you guys want to be rewarded while you play the game? What do you want? What do you want back? Do you want bragging rights? Do you want screen time? Do you want the ability to control something? We can't give you anything of monetary value. That's the only limitation of our actual agreement with Twitch. While we're interfacing anything with bits, we cannot allow you to give us bits for something worth monetary value. That is illegal. Can't sell you things for bits. So, no rewards of monetary value, which would include giving out subs for bits. Now, that doesn't mean we can't have, say, a boss that when beaten, somebody gives a sub, or the first time a raid boss is down by a group of people, or a gift sub, community gift subs are given, or we could even have community gift subs and stuff like that work to help fight the boss. You know, there's two-way interactions here, but the only thing I am not allowed to do is accept bits from you and give you something back for it. So like, if you were to pay me bits to play a specific song, that's actually illegal. Because we're giving airtime based on money, and airtime is worth value. It's quite a long list of do's and don'ts. I spent like an hour and a half reading through it all. I can send it to you, Pseudo, if you want as well.
That's probably a good idea. I'll read through that.
Yeah. The limitations of interacting with Twitch bits are fairly significant. Fair enough.
It's definitely a restriction and limitation that we need to be aware of.
Yes, yeah, we definitely have to keep in mind of what we're legally allowed to do. I was thinking Final Fantasy XIV, it's pretty flexible. Yeah, I see, again, Final Fantasy XIV doesn't fall directly in any one category. It's sort of, it's part fantasy and it's part sci-fi. And that's not an uncommon mix. There's a lot of games, more games than people realize, start out sci-fi and end up fantasy. Or sorry, start out fantasy and end up sci-fi. A lot of games. Phantasy Star 4, one of my favorites. Starts out fantasy, ends sci-fi. A series that I only recently learned was sci-fi at the end, and it blew my mind to learn this. Pseudo, did you know that Wizardry is a sci-fi game?
No,
Yeah,
I did.
yeah, about at Wizardry 6, all of a sudden an alien ship lands. Find out that you're lost on a planet and all the rest of the people that you've been interacting with that look differently are aliens, and you start going like getting laser guns and finding spaceships in order to get off of this planet and stuff like
Damn,
that. Just
that's
goes
quite the
full
turn.
full fucking sci-fi in the middle of a fantasy dungeon crawler.
We're not always restricted by the settings that we choose now. You can always pivot things and still make things.
Oh, I mean, Wizardry is an ancient game now. That we're talking Super Nintendo era, is when they were doing it. So, yeah, just because we're working off of a basic stereotype setting doesn't mean we can't play with the stereotype. Doesn't mean we can't mix in other stereotypes. It's just a consensual, basic understanding of a starting point. Right? It brings in all sorts of tropes that we can then say, let's go fantasy, but let's take out this and this and this. And then we don't have to spend hours, days, pages and pages and pages writing out all the fantasy elements we want. We can just bring in large categories at one time and quickly discuss ideas by using just the stereotypical heading. There we go. Integrate game with aliens. See, I do a sci-fi for you. You like the sci-fi? I think I ate too much pizza. I can tell you, you did not eat too much pizza. You know how I know? There's no such thing too much pizza. So, Board, what's your favorite genre stereotype? Let's throw your name down here too, and Val as well. What's your favorite stereotype genre? Give me multiple, I don't care. Throw your name on some. What do you like to see? You want to shoot lasers at people? You want to swing a sword at people? You want to throw magic at people? Do you want to shoot magic lasers at people? I love the Gunmancer from Cosmic Star Heroine. So unique, so original. One of the coolest things I've ever heard. She's a spellcaster, and all her spells are focused on is summoning guns that shoot people. Literally called it a Gunmancer. Why has nobody done that before, Pseudo? Why?
Probably been done somewhere, sometime.
Board likes swords. So you're saying fantasy or just swords? Because sci-fi has swords too. Laser swords, monofilament swords, plasma swords, lightsabers. Oh, well, I'm already warmed up there, Raven. So dabba dabba doo to you too. Dabba dabba doo is the best way to come up with new game ideas. The only thing that can enhance Dabba Dabba Doo farther to come up with game ideas is a nice, hot bath. Laugh all you want. The greatest ideas I have ever come up with in the realms of game design came to me smoking a joint in the bath. Every time. Every time. That's where my ideas come. I also like being a stealthy assassin. Yeah, we definitely have classes written down as something we want. For sure. How much impact do we want the classes to have? There's a question. Do you want it to give you abilities and real differences, or really just cosmetics and visual differences? How different do they really need to be? How do you want to fight each other? Do you want to have interaction? I'm just asking random questions here to get you guys brainstorming. I'm just trying to throw out these balls, and hopefully they bounce off of a couple heads and come back to me with one or two ideas. Right, we're gonna have a hard time doing like a menu-based combat, right? Because we're gonna have a latency on the chat. It does take some time for your message to show up, as you all know when you're chatting. You know, you type your message, it's not just right away all the time. It takes a little bit of time sometimes for the stream to see it, for the streamer to respond, the voice to go all the way around. These are the same data channels we're working off of, so it's going to be difficult to do like a real-time option, but maybe we can do something where you have a decision. Or maybe some pre-decisions, some pre-setup before you get into the combat, where the combat itself can be automated. Look a little smoother, a little faster. Absolutely.
If some RNG in there could be a good thing.
Yep.
Tax outcomes, or even things like loot.
Ooh, that was a big one. All right. Yeah, dice is... Oop, no, that's not the one I wanted. There we go. There we go. Hey, I'm back. Okay. Yeah, totally dice. And, you know, I'd like to say what was rolled. Do you guys know dice syntax? You know what 3d6 is? 2d8? 5d10? You know what all that means? Look at me, I am a big geek. That was a geek flex. But do you understand that notation? Because that's probably what we'll end up using a lot. If you want to go with dice, you know, we could even like build it off of a 5e system. You don't have to include all the abilities and all the complexity of it, but a simple d20 die roll to determine a result is pretty easy to.
Yeah, you just keep it simple, just a few, even just some like a D6 and D20, and even like a D12 is all you really need for most things.
Yeah, I mean, adding in different dice rolls is really. The part that I was meaning keep it simple is, you know, just take plus to hit, an armor rating, and then some weapons with damages. And just start there and just let people swing at each other. Hack each other to death. It wouldn't even start as sci-fi, basically. It would start as medieval. And then we can build or it wouldn't start as fantasy, it would start as medieval. Yeah, so what would happen if we pulled in a d20 system, all right? You have 3 stats that are critical. Well, a few stats. You have HP is critical, right? You have your plus hit, you have your armor, and you have your damage. You use 1d20, okay? This is important syntax. So 1 die of 20 sides is what that reads. 1d20. That's what you roll. Okay? 1, always miss. 20, crit. Where the point of being hit is determined is by the armor. So if they have the AC, hold on. Yeah, higher AC is better. So we build it up. So you have to meet their AC with your d20 roll. So their armor might be 14. Right? That would mean that 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14 will hit. Here, no, go away. There we go. It's all misses. So that's just the d20 roll, right? So if we roll a 14 or higher, we hit the target with 14. Then we deal our damage. If we hit, the full damage is dealt. This will be also dice, so it might be like 2d6 plus 2. I wanted to include a plus at the end because that you'll see a lot in dice notation, right? So now we're looking at 4 to 14 damage. That's how you would read that, right? So it's 2d6, means 2 1s is the minimum roll, plus 2, so 4 damage at minimum. Maximum damage is 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 2. 2 dice, right? So we need 2 6s. So 14 top end. 4 to 14. You make any range we want with these. Very, very, very easy. Because we're doing digital, we don't have to keep it simple where you're only rolling 2 dice like you want to in real life. We can do all sorts of funky things with numbers of dice to reach any range. Your plus hit is added onto your attack. So if you have a plus, like if you're really, really, really good at attacking, you might have a plus 5. At which point, now when your dice gets plus 5, you can even think of it as a minus to the armor. Right? So now if we roll a 9, it gets plus 5. Now let's think of it as percentages. On a d20, one number is 5%. You have a 5% chance of failing at all times. So you have, at best, a 95% chance to hit. Think of it as a number. And now we're going to have 50% plus an extra number, so a 55% chance to hit. 14 plus 5. This is just the basics of the d20 system. This is where all your dice rolls, hits, crits, misses. This is how we calculate all on a super simple system. To program this, minutes. Because we already have the system in front of us. Copy it down. Not hard. When you get in implementing all the little pieces of the system, it gets more complicated. So board, does that cover pretty much everything you were thinking of? And then damage would be subtracted from the HP. If it hits. HP goes to 0, you die. Very, very simple.
Should we talk about what happens when a character dies?
I was just thinking the same thing. Because it is something to consider. What do you guys want to happen when a character dies?
There needs to be some sort of kind of risk or some sort of reason to not want to die.
Yep. Dying has to be a punishment. Too often in new games am I playing the game and I stop and I look at it and I realize, you know what? I'd be better off dead right now. You should never think that in a game. It should never be advantageous to kill yourself in a game. Where literally you're like, if I just die right now, I come back and all the stuff I'm missing is restored and I don't lose anything and I'll be right where I am. Okay, how do I kill myself? This happens to me all the time. You lose 1,000 talking points. I don't know if we can interact with the channel points yet, talking points. If we can, it's an interesting thought. So let's put it under the random ideas. Potential TP loss. Something else might end up being called TP. Talking point loss on death? Question. Is it possible? Yeah, we have to find out if we can interface with the talking point. It would be cool. And then we would, if we can interface with talking points where we can take them away, then I can also create different things in the game that you can trigger by spending talking points, and you can trigger it directly by spending the points. That would be cool. Gain if you kill someone? Absolutely. PvP kill rewards. What do you want to gain? Just talking points? How hardcore do you want to be about it? Like, you know, personally, I think instantly my devious mind goes to like permadeath, and when you kill someone, you get all the items they had.
Might have a little bit.
I love a cannibalistic version. But it doesn't have to be that hardcore. But that's me. Like when I was a GM, when I played pen and paper and I ran groups, when you died in my session, in my campaign, and were beyond the point of being resurrectable, burned your character sheet. That's it. He's dead. The only way your character sheet survived is if your character got strong enough to retire. To the point where it's like, you're so strong I can't challenge you really anymore with normal stuff. You know, we've broken the game, and then from that point on, I would always use those characters as lore characters in all the worlds I've done. So now whenever I do a new story, I have this little reservoir of these crazy powerful characters that we've created in all the years I played D&D to pull the ones that lived out of. Quite useful, actually. Love Zug Zug. He's one of my favorites. I'll introduce you guys to Zug. FYI, he's in a cyberpunk set.
We may want to discuss the possibility of having a different point system inside the game itself, but separate from like talking points, but could maybe be purchased by talking points.
I'm cool. I love the game having its own point system, and I absolutely want that. The point system might even be just how much money you have. You amass wealth. This is why I say, what's the goal? Let's put that under a possible goal. And well, what are we gonna record? Like, if the goal is to create alliances, then really what you're looking at is primarily what you would judge people on is how many friends they have, how many alliances. And the strength would be the strength of your alliance. And there's no one player winning. I guess you maybe. Whoever's the member of the most big alliances would be the point then. And, you know, knowing more people and talking to more people and, you know, on that front would be what makes you stronger and gives you a better score. Which is an interesting idea. It makes it almost a more social game. The more time you spend in order to create alliances, the stronger you would be.
There would just have to be some incentive to not have everyone join a single alliance, at least. But other than that,
what if everybody has their own? Like, I'm talking everybody has their own score. It's not creating groups of alliances, it's creating alliances with people. And we use a PageRank similar algorithm to judge the wealth or the worth of everyone's alliance. So the more alliances you've made, the more an alliance with you.
my point was if there's any incentive to not alliance, or if everyone could just alliance with everyone else right out of the gate.
Well, yeah, you want to alliance with as many people as you can right out of the gate. That's what gives you your power. Like, it gives them power as well. So the only incentive to not ally with someone is because you don't want to give them any more power. However, It's a risk reward because not allying with them means you lose a large source of power yourself.
It's definitely something you can play around with. Might just get a little bit complicated, kind of
Well,
to manage.
it gets complicated to manage, but it's managed digitally. I'm not talking about an alliance of people at this point. It would be more like agreements. Lots of individual agreements. The alliances are of two people, always. So just because you've allied with the person doesn't mean you've allied with everyone they've allied with, but because they're allied with so many people, their individual value is worth more to you. You can still go and find all the other people they're allied with, but the only way to make that alliance is to be on the channel with them in person and create the alliance. Now you're actually rewarded for being on the channel more because you will encounter more people in your travels, making you stronger.
Yeah, it's definitely something you play with. Especially that to both be in there at the same time, it kind of limits the ability to alliance with everyone, especially with different schedules.
Yeah, we can definitely, like I said, you have to establish the alliance. So we can create the difficulty in the establishment, and then the announcement and the rankings and everything become more valid. Maybe it costs resources and stuff like that. There's another, the actual adventuring part of the game where you're gathering stuff that you need to form your alliances or strengthen them. The alliances are a variable thing that can themselves be built value, and then what you're building is going to vary depending on who your strongest alliance is, and it creates another, basically just creates another layer at this point of complication in the consideration of where it's done. Whereas the implementation is very, very simple. It's just strengthen this one, strengthen that one, but which one is worth what is going to be the fluid. I like
I think we should probably circle back and try to figure out the uh, punishment mechanic for death and some other stuff like that a bit.
I agree. I agree. I just, when you have those little moments, you got to run with them.
Yeah, we could also break it, the ability to break an alliance or something.
Yeah, yeah. I like the idea of external forces being able to dissolve an alliance. Something like that, yeah. But let's talk about the oh. So depending, the reason this happened is because in order to know the death penalty, in order to establish a cost for dying, we need to know what the goal of the game is, because we want to be able to punish the player in a way that is core to their achievement of the end goal. If you're taking away specifically from their progress to the end goal, it makes death always a negative thing. Which is why, so in the example of the creating alliance being the core to it, then death may dissolve some alliances, or certain alliances being formed. Part of the forming of it may be a cheaper alliance because one of the stipulations in it is if either player dies, the alliance is dissolved. You could go very hardcore and say you lose all your alliances and they can only be formed again while you're alive. which, brings up possible generation systems to play into, where every character you make is actually a different character, but it's the offspring of your previous character. So they inherit some of what he had. You don't lose everything. And you start over from there. So you can still get stronger through iterations. Though you have to start over, you'll start over quicker. Am I getting some of your brain juices flowing? I just kind of went on my own little rant again. My brain's all getting tingly on this game. I'm starting to feel it.
The generation system could work because then you inherit a select amount. So let's say if a player gets killed in like a PvE instance, then their next character can still inherit, say, like a certain percentage of their gold that they wouldn't have been carrying on them for obvious reasons, as well as some of their equipment, as well as maybe some of their base stats.
Yep. Maybe maybe a storage system for the equipment, and when you die, you lose what you had on you. Your offspring inherits the estate.
Yeah. And then PvP could be they can gain, I guess, maybe what they had on them or a certain percentage of what they had on them, or maybe a choice between maybe gaining some of their like alliances or getting their gold or getting their items.
Yeah. You could take whatever items you want off of them, and any items you don't need or want right away, you could then be able to give back or sell. And then you could get, say, an honor point or a direct score, or maybe whatever it is that allows you to spend to create the alliances, if that's part of it. By giving the gear back, doing the honorable thing. I didn't need this. I killed your person. Here, have your fallen friends or fallen father's armor back, kind of idea. Or sell it to a vendor right from there, and have 3 different ways to go to get money or points or gear out of the kill.
To talk about what Lord brought up, if we're around the kind of medieval kind of setting of things, you can have tournaments. Because he said, what if we do a weekly event where many viewers enter and you play into the last man standing and the results every week? Maybe it doesn't have to be like every weekly event, but you can still have the kind of tournaments, and maybe we don't also have to have like a to the death kind of tournament.
Yep.
But it's exploited where like maybe everyone has to buy in, and then winner gets majority of the pot, and then so on and so forth.
Yep. I like all that. Or it doesn't have to be necessarily a PvP event either. The weekly event could be a monster is attacking, and every stream for that week there's a little boss icon in the top corner up here with a health pool, a certain amount of damage that needs to be done to him in the week. Or if he lives, everybody takes damage, does a big attack to everyone. Have enough HP or you're not high enough level, you die and you take the consequences of the death. And if he is defeated in the week, everybody is rewarded with loots and fun points and stuff like that based on their contributions to the boss kill and their level. Or, different quests that need to be done within the week. Weekly quests type of thing that players have to work together to accomplish. There's many weekly events we can. Points for currency to buy item and gear. Yeah. I have in amass wealth and points all up here under the goal of the game. So definitely points and then items and gear by extension would be character to progress and power. Right? Your gears, your items, your spells, stuff like that are all designed to make you stronger so that you can do and or do it better.
Should characters be able to trade?
Because it's a social community, it should be a social game. So I say yes.
Maybe that's something that can be restricted to an alliance. Only alliances can trade. Kind of gives it more incentive to.
Yeah, once you have an alliance with a person, you can trade with them. I'm
Yeah.
down with that idea. Maybe you can still trade with somebody through an escrow. If not, you can use a few bits to initiate a trade with somebody you don't have an alliance with. That's something you can definitely use bits for, because there's no monetary return to the player. It's action within a game that's access. But I definitely want the ability to trade and communicate and interact with each other. I would love for the ability for a person to be a merchant in the game and just spend their time meeting with people, buying stuff off of them, and selling it to other people, and be able to generate enough points to conceivably win the game. And you can be a merchant in any genre, any setting, any category. There's always merchants. There's always shops. There's always stores. And I love a player-driven economy. So like the vendor would be like the most basic of stuff. Period. Players have to deal with everything. What about crafting? Is that within the scope of something that you want?
It's up to the viewers if they want to have that, but it kind of boils down to how much they want to be able to manage and how much they want to just be able to play.
Yeah, I'm really looking at them and asking, what do you guys think of crafting and gathering? You know, in a community game, I think personally, this is just me, but the core goal of the game should be achievable without fighting. If you really want to. It can be achievable with fighting, if you want to. But I think there's enough people out there that would appreciate a crafter type system and or a merchant type system rather than strictly fighting, like a strict RPG combat and then fight other people. What do you guys think? That's one I really need your answer to. And I know not everyone is here. And if you're watching this on YouTube, definitely throw your opinion in the comments. And we want to hear all of your answers in the comments. And I will be checking and reading this. Come hit us on the Discord. Give us your opinion there. We're going to keep collating this. This is an ongoing. Come be a part of it. We could just do PvE. Yeah. Player versus environment is normally what the E is, but it could be player versus enemy as well. PvE is usually environment because it also includes like survival games where there is no enemy and it's literally the elements that you're combating against, the cold, the hunger, stuff like that. So that's why we call it environment. Lava, standing in fire, all those things that pugs love to do. Why do pugs do these things? You know what helps? Here's what I do. If you're in an MMO with a pug, PvP will be only for tournaments stuff. I would love for a player to be able to just challenge another player to a duel just to like settle an argument and have their actual characters pop up on the screen and fight it out. I'd love to be able to see that. That'd be great. Oh yeah, I mean, I could even create a special scene for the actual tournaments, and we could do like a tournament stream. If you guys love the game that you've built so much and you're super into it, and there's a bunch of people that want to, duke it out and see who wins, I will set up a scene and I'll do it all out if you want. But even just while I'm streaming, and two people want to have a little duke it out, and just have them pop up in the little bottom corner down here, and just be there and have the little numbers pop up and see the outcome and have it come back down and everybody gets to view it. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. The old backhand with the leather glove. Whoopsh! Challenge you to a duel, sir! Anyway, that is our panel for this Saturday. I hope you had fun. This is going to continue. Don't forget any of these ideas. I think we've got most of what was talked about written down somewhere. This document exactly will be coming up, and you'll see it evolve, and we'll put more headings, and it'll actually start to look like a pretty real design document by the end of it. And if you're following along later on, you can definitely use what we're doing here to build your own design document. Start organizing your ideas. If you need a hand, come to our Twitch channel, ask. Maybe we could do an event system where you prepare, and throughout the stream, random enemies will show up at random times, and you have to defeat them as a party. I could very, very, very easily do stuff like that. Absolutely. I love all these ideas. Love them. Keep them all.
We could all incorporate some other fun stuff into it, such as if the chat fails to defeat it, we can add some sort of limitation to the game you're playing. So kind of remove a certain weapon. Say if you're playing Doom, you can no longer use your shotgun because this boss is here, and you can't do it until that boss has been defeated.
Or I could just have to die. Turn and jump off a cliff. Yep. Yeah, I'd love to work out more interactions and stuff like that too. I know there are some apps out there that allow some interesting interactions. Or maybe we can even punish the chat for not finishing, and here's one. One of the players of the chat is put into a little bubble, captive by the monster, and you've got X amount of time to defeat it. And if you don't defeat it in that time, that person gets a 15-minute timeout.
It's stressful.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, the ideas are endless. Once we actually get into it, yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun. Sounds great. You know what? Let's do more of this next week. Let's dig a little bit further into it. Hopefully Rage will be available at that one. We'll be able to put some of his input into it, and hopefully whoever is seeing this and is interested in taking part will be able to show up next week, start throwing your ideas out. And everyone that is here right now, keep those creative juices flowing, my friends. I love the ideas that you're throwing out. You're all going in the right directions. All possible stuff. Keep it up. Keep it coming. Raven, throw some awesome concept art if you want. I'll host it up. I'll let some people see it. We'll take opinions. Do it up. Get creative, guys. This is exciting. Till next week, however, well, I'll be seeing you, but the panel won't be together until next week. Right on. Fucking A, yeah. I think you said you were doing something, but you are doing a late night chill stream. It's my uncle's birthday tonight, so I'm getting together with my mom and my uncle, and we're gonna have dinner. Cookies coming. It's gonna be good. I think Rage is gonna be home this evening, and it's entirely possible that I get home and jump on Monster Hunter at like 10 p.m. or something. I'll stream it and just not use my camera. See if anybody shows up, but it'll be a good time. And tomorrow, because I didn't stream Friday, I'm sorry guys, I had a crazy headache. I just needed to sit down and chill out and Ended up watching the Watership Down Netflix special with Pooch. It was great. You should watch it. It was good. Yeah, but Sunday I'll totally do a stream. Sunday, and we'll play some Chill Day, and we'll spin the wheel, and it'll be a wheel day. So come on by, spend your talking points, spin the wheel. Oh, board. Just an emergency heads up. Warband is down to 1 weight. And I don't think you want it to fall off, so you might want to add some to that one. Anyway, thank you very, very much for joining Games by Design this Saturday afternoon, evening, Sunday morning, wherever you are. It was a pleasure having you all. I love your ideas. Keep them coming. Until then, I'm Deus.
I'm Suda.
May all your shots be headshots.